The US leader made a surprise call for Russia to be readmitted to the group of top industrialist nations after its expulsion for annexing Crimea. But German Chancellor Angela Merkel said the EU members attending the summit all agreed it should not happen. Frictions over trade tariffs recently imposed by the Trump administration are overshadowing the summit. Canada called Mr. Trump's trade tariffs illegal, while European Council President Donald Tusk warned that Mr. Trump's stance on trade, climate change, and Iran constituted a real danger. What worries me most, however, is the fact that the rules-based international order is being challenged, quite surprisingly not by the usual suspects but by its main architect and guarantor, the US, he said. However, after meeting Mr. Trump, French President Emmanuel Macron said things were moving forward and it was still possible to make progress on trade. He did not elaborate. After rumors there would be no joint closing statement because of the divisions, President Trump told reporters he believed there would be one after all. What is the G7? It is an annual summit bringing together Canada, the US, the UK, France, Italy, Japan and Germany, which represent more than 60% of global net worth between them. Economics tops the agenda, although the meetings now always branch off to cover major global issues. This time they are meeting in the town of La Malbaie in Quebec. What was said about Russia? Mr. Trump said, "You know, whether you like it or not, and it may not be politically correct, but we have a world to run, and in the G7, which used to be the G8, they threw Russia out. They should let Russia come back in." Initially, he found support in the shape of the newly installed Italian Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte, who tweeted that it was in the interests of everyone for Russia to be readmitted. But later Germany's Angela Merkel said all the EU members there, including Mr. Conte, had agreed that Russia could not be readmitted unless there was progress on Ukraine. Canada too says it remains opposed. A Kremlin spokesperson meanwhile said they were interested in other formats, apart from the G7. Russian President Vladimir Putin is currently in Beijing, where he was presented with a friendship medal by Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping. Trump arrives with a bang. Relations between Donald Trump and America's leading allies were already at a new low over trade tariffs before the president casually dropped his Russia hand grenade. Most G7 leaders think the decision to expel Russia in 2014 was right then, and remains right today. Even Russia itself seems lukewarm about rejoining. In many ways, this seems to be a deliberate Donald Trump tactic, to distract attention from his war of words with the rest of the G7 over trade and protectionism. President Trump dislikes the whole idea of the G7, a club of nations which traditionally comes together around shared values rooted in a world order based on agreed rules. Last to arrive, he'll also be first to leave.